Okay, why don't you just give me your name real quick and tell me why you support the DREAM Act?
My name is Lorella Praeli, and I support the DREAM Act because I am a dreamer, which means I would be DREAM eligible. What that means is that I would qualify for the Development Relief and Education for Alien Minors Act if it passes in the House this Wednesday. And just a brief on what DREAM actually is, because there are those misconceptions that they say you're just granting amnesty.
Right.
The actual definition of what amnesty is to give someone something.
Right.
And the DREAM Act has certain provisions, and it is a pathway to citizenship. So there's nothing just given free to someone. A dreamer is someone who entered the United States before the age of 15, has graduated from a high school, has been present in the United States for 5 years, and in order, under the new version of the DREAM Act, they would have a new non-immigrant visa status for 10 years, and then they could apply for legal permanent residency status, and then 2 years after that, they could apply for citizenship, which means that it takes about 12 years for a dreamer to become a U.S. citizen. I could talk about why I think that's important for numerous reasons, but as we've seen today, I think it's unfair to not give us a recognition. I don't believe that the DREAM Act will make any of us any more American than we are, but I think it gives us the proper documentation to live at peace and to be able to continue to contribute to our communities in a meaningful way.
All right, now one of the things I've heard in the presentations and in my followings with the topic of immigration itself is that you have a lot of undocumented immigrants who come to this country and they bring along their children who are like maybe 1, 2, 3 years old, very, very young, and don't know any other place but America. And I think that what the DREAM Act does is just gives those individuals who have basically lived their entire lives in America an opportunity to be on the same foothold, on the same standing as somebody who was born and raised in this country.
Indeed. It does nothing more, it does exactly that. It recognizes people, students who have been here, who have grown up in this country, who call this country their home, recognition and proper documentation. So most of us dreamers don't find out about our legal status until we are in need of a driver's license or in need to apply for college. So most of us live not knowing that this is in fact our status. We did not make the decision to migrate to the U.S., but this is what we know to be home.
Now, some misconceptions here. Now, this is not a bill that's going to put a repeal on all in-state tuition for undocumented immigrants.
It is not.
It is not. Absolutely. And also, this doesn't grant an individual some type of amnesty. That's another thing that we hear from the anti-immigrant community.
Right. I think we're hearing a lot. In fact, because it doesn't repeal the in-state tuition ban, each state at the state level has a responsibility and a need to address that issue just at their state level. So in Connecticut, we'll be taking on the Connecticut in-state tuition bill as early as the beginning of next year.
Now, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because Connecticut has tried to do this back a few years ago, and the governor at that time vetoed the legislation. What is the difference between the state version of the DREAM Act and the national version?
Okay. You need the national version because even, for example, the state DREAM Act is only making it possible for undocumented students to go on to higher education at public universities and pay in-state tuition rates. Right now, in most states, undocumented students have to pay anywhere between 3 to 7 times more to attend a state university. So here in Connecticut, instead of paying, for example, $3,000 or $9,000, you end up paying somewhere upwards of $20,000, even though you have graduated from a Connecticut public high school. The limitation of state policy is that it's Congress and it's the federal government alone that can address immigration issues and immigration law. They can change the law. And so even for the states that have passed the in-state tuition, now we have all of these graduates with degrees. They can't work because the state can't give you work authorization. That's why you need the federal piece of the DREAM Act.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like this is something that's like clear cut and makes a lot of common sense. You have a lot of children who spend maybe their entire lives here in the United States. You have an area such as Danbury that charges, that puts out $11,000 per year to teach a kid. So we're investing so much money into these children. Why not just give them the in-state tuition? And so my question to you is, why is there so much hesitation and a problem to get this thing passed in the first place? It seems like it makes a lot of common sense.
I think the way the Governor Rail justified her decision in 2007 was that it was not an issue for the state to address, it was an issue for the federal government to figure out. 1982 Plyer versus Doe Supreme Court decision says that from K through 12, no student, regardless of legal status, can be denied access to education. And so the problem is that we see us students, undocumented Americans, face that unable to go on to higher education because there isn't a law that's addressing, there isn't anything that's addressing that after high school.
All right, well look, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully this thing will get passed and hopefully people will stay involved way beyond this presentation and call their congressmen, as well as call their state senators and their state representatives to get this thing passed in Connecticut as well as down there in Washington. So again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.